Shocking amount artists are paid for their Super Bowl performances. Because NFL players make an average salary of $2.7 million per year, you might be forgiven for thinking that the musical superstars who provide their talents to the most important game of the year also earn millions of dollars. However, you would be mistaken in this assumption. Usher is scheduled to sing during the halftime show this year, but he will not be receiving a wage that is anything close to that of an NFL player for the huge concert. It may come as a surprise to learn that halftime performers at the Super Bowl do not receive compensation for their performances. According to the policy of the league, the National Football League (NFL) is responsible for covering all expenditures associated with the production of the halftime show. However, the talent does not receive a paycheck, although the NFL is responsible for paying for their travel expenses. On a basis that is equivalent to the minimum wage for unions, Forbes reports that artists get paid only $1,000 per day. Despite this, the halftime show at the Super Bowl remains a highly coveted spot for many artists. Entertainment attorney Lori Landau stated in an interview with Forbes in the year 2019. Some of those artists do not see their appearance as a political statement, nor do they see the show as a cultural battleground, but rather view their live performance as an opportunity to entertain an enthusiastic crowd and to share their music and their talent with millions of viewers. In addition, the cost of production might be extremely significant, even for a section that is only 13 minutes long by itself. Reportedly, the National Football League (NFL) spent around $13 million on the performance that Jennifer Lopez and Shakira gave in 2020. This sum is sufficient to cover the salaries of up to 3,000 employees who are involved in the production. Additionally, it is sufficient to cover the complex technical aspects of the performance, such as a stage that can be collapsed into 38 parts, or the vast audio equipment that was brought in on 18 carts. The cost of awe-inspiring displays, such as Katy Perry riding into the stadium on a mechanical golden lion, or Lady Gaga parachuting into her performance from the roof, is something that we have not even begun to discuss. The question is, what are the benefits for performers? Exposure is something that independent writers all around the world are familiar with. Having the opportunity to perform on one of the largest and most widely watched platforms in the world can result in a significant financial advantage in the form of increased sales of music products. When Justin Timberlake performed in 2018, his music sales increased by 534% on that same day. On the other hand, sales of Lady Gaga's digital catalog increased by 1,000% after her performance in 2017. In the case of Usher, the singer will have the chance to promote his upcoming album, titled Coming Home, which is scheduled to be released 2 days before the Super Bowl. In addition, beginning in August of 2024, he will be traveling across the country on a tour. Even if you believe that the only performers who are not compensated for their efforts are the headliners, you should reconsider that notion. Journeyman dancers, after all, should be compensated. The National Football League has been criticized for not paying certain dancers who perform at halftime shows, instead referring to them as volunteers. During the halftime show that the Wheat performed in 2021, all of the dancers marched onto the field wearing identical outfits, yet not all of them were treated in the same manner. According to the findings of an inquiry conducted by the Los Angeles Times, paid dancers received $712 for show day and $45 per hour for their rehearsal time. In addition, a $30 per diem and a $250 COVID stipend were provided to dancers who were required to report to a clinic for a test on a day that was not classified as a workday. To wait for rehearsals, unpaid dancers were forced to wait in the cold for up to 2 hours in the bleachers of the stadium, while their paid counterparts were required to spend that time in green rooms. In the year 2022, it appeared like the National Football League was prepared to make the same error again. NFL producers recruited hundreds of volunteers to take part in 72 hours of unpaid rehearsals for a halftime show that featured Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, and Eminem. The rehearsals lasted for a total of 62 hours. After receiving criticism from members of the dance industry and SAG-AFTRA, the union that represents professional dancers, executives from Jay-Z's Roc Nation, the company that produced the halftime show, defended their practices by stating that they paid 115 dancers. When it comes to the Super Bowl halftime show, how much money do performers pay? There may be no other stage that is both larger and more impressive than the one that is used for the Super Bowl. Symbolically, the game is a representation of an annual spectacular in which the intertwined pathways of business, professional sports, and entertainment interact with one another, as if they were a group of three long-lost friends. It is quite shiny. It is very remarkable. Quite a pricey item. On the other hand, the rewards can be extremely fulfilling. Not only does the halftime performance provide musicians with a stage on which they can aspire to greater heights, but it also has the potential to be highly appealing from a financial standpoint. There is a tendency for money to be a persuasive argument. A strong showcase on the days of the Super Bowl can be extremely lucrative, and the benefits of doing so can last a lifetime. At least 100 million people are watching the action that takes place between the action. Or are they able to? To what extent does the NFL compensate the performers who perform during the halftime show of the Super Bowl for their showcases? You may be surprised by the response. Nothing, to put it simply, is the answer. 0 to 1. Nothing at all. That's it. The performers who take part in the Super Bowl do not receive a single penny for their efforts. However, even though this is not the most exciting notion, it does not mean that the National Football League has abandoned these musicians into the wilderness. The expenditures associated with the theatrics are covered by the league. Could you be referring to the cloud of smoke that you see as Usher steps onto the stage instead? That check is being written by the National Football League. What about the robust stage frame that is ablaze with strobe lights that shimmer? The accountants of the league are responsible for handling this as well. Quite frequently, the cinematography of Hollywood-level films was required to submit a grade of performance can cost the National Football League millions of dollars. There is a real knock-on benefit to playing in the Super Bowl, one that can make the free production worthwhile. Although it is not cool to not pay laborers for their effort, there is a real knock-on benefit to performing in the Super Bowl. It is common for performers who perform at the halftime show of the Super Bowl to witness a sudden increase in the number of streams they receive after their performance. At the very least, from a strict standpoint, it is more of a deluge than a puddle. As if there were moths drawn to a flame, fans are drawn to the catalog of a Super Bowl performer. The numbers are quite staggering. According to Billboard, the day of Maroon 5's halftime act in 2019 saw a spike in sales that was 434% higher than the previous day. A similar increase occurred for Justin Timberlake, who saw his record sales increase by 534% following his showcase in 2018. As a result of her performance at Super Bowl 51 in 2017, Lady Gaga reportedly saw a 1,000% increase in her number of followers. Taking all of this into consideration, it is possible that performing at the Super Bowl can assist in introducing or reintroducing musicians to a more extensive audience. The fact that more than 100 million people are expected to watch the celebrations is certainly not a factor that is not taken into consideration. Therefore, when Usher performs at Super Bowl 58, you can rest assured that he will be making a lot of money from it, regardless of the direction he chooses to go. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.